Next on Currents News, New York City's schools get the green light and teachers in the Diocese of Brooklyn are ready to go.
We're what the kids really, really need at this time. And, our job is to be there for the kids.
Breaking the pandemic relief logjam. President Trump signed new orders. But what do they really mean for the average American? Sadness turned to anger. Protests break out in Beirut. We'll speak with a Catholic leader who's in the city right now.
This Brooklyn mural done by a Catholic artist is helping to fight human trafficking. I'm Emily Drubian. Coming up, I'll tell you how.
Plus a family about to be swept away in floodwaters, but strangers came to the rescue. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. New York schools can officially reopen, but will they? Will students and teachers show up? That's the big question tonight. In the Diocese of Brooklyn, preparations are underway to open school doors and keep them that way. Currents News' Jessica Easthope has the story from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
To safely reopen and be together in school. We have the space.
Brendan Maloney is an 8th grade teacher at St. Patrick's Catholic Academy in Bay Ridge. He can't wait to get his students back in the classroom.
This building was built to fit 60 students a class, 2 classes a grade, and we have about 15 to 20 students in each class, so we're able to safely social distance and stay 6 feet apart.
Governor Andrew Cuomo announced this weekend New York's infection rate is low enough to give schools the green light to reopen.
Our schools are facing unprecedented challenges. They must now not only educate our students, they also have to keep them safe from this deadly virus.
But how schools reopen will be left up to each school district and parents.
They have real issues and real concerns, and there has to be a dialogue and has to be a discussion. Several school districts have sent in plans. Several school districts have updated their plans.
St. Patrick's has already made its plan public.
Certain staircases that'll only be ones that you walk up and not down, so there aren't students passing each other in the stairwell. Teachers will wear face shields. Students will wear masks at all times.
But it won't be easy for every school in the Brooklyn Diocese to go back as COVID-19 poses a greater threat in some neighborhoods. Right now, schools are hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst.
Let's plan for full reopening, and if we have to kick it down a notch to hybrid, I think that's acceptable.
According to a new poll that surveyed more than 500 teachers, 82% were concerned about returning to in-person learning. Brendan says he does fear for his health.
We're going to do our best and, socially distance and wear our masks and wear our face shields. But, you never know what's going to happen.
Though he's eager to teach in front of his classroom, Brendan says Catholic schools in the Brooklyn Diocese are well equipped for online learning in case schools close again.
We wouldn't miss a step, just like we didn't miss a step back in March.
All right, go ahead, Justin.
The kids are already so used to, learning digitally and learning through technology.
In order to reopen in September, Catholic schools must have their plans approved first by the diocese, then by the state. In Bay Ridge, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Reopening New York City's public schools may not be so easy. Some teachers have threatened to stage a sick-out, and their union is indicating it might sue over reopening. Under Mayor Bill de Blasio's plan, kids will be in classrooms 1 to 3 days every week and learn online the rest of them. Adding to reopening concerns, there might not be enough school nurses on hand, and ventilation systems in some school buildings are in urgent need of upgrades. Parents are also concerned about schools reopening, trying to decide whether or not to send their kids. And now a new report shows at least 97,000 children in the U.S. tested positive for the virus in just the last 2 weeks of July. The report from the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association says at least 338,000 kids have tested positive since the pandemic began. There have been more than 5 million cases in total across the country. According to Johns Hopkins University, that means the United States holds about a quarter of global cases. To put that into perspective, the U.S. has had more COVID-19 cases than Ireland has people. 5 states account for more than 40% of U.S. infections. They include California, Florida, Texas, Georgia, and New York. 5 million is a sobering milestone, and as the pandemic continues, many families are finding themselves struggling to make ends meet. In an effort to ease their burden, President Donald Trump signed 4 new executive actions. Britt Conway breaks it down for us.
Stimulus talks may have stalled, but President Trump is pushing full steam ahead with 4 executive actions. And White House Chief Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow says it was the right thing to do.
He has said we will use every power the federal government has to help out, and I think this is an example of that.
But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi questions their effectiveness, among other things.
They're absurdly unconstitutional.
So let's break these down. First up, an additional $400 in unemployment benefits. States would have to pay the first $100, then the federal government would add $300. But do states have the money?
The states have not spent all the money that was allocated to them.
No, they don't. They have expenses from the coronavirus. They have lost revenue.
Up next, pausing payments and interest on federal student loans until the end of the year. Number 3, an executive order on eviction, putting that decision in the hands of the Department of Health and Human Services and the CDC.
If they are concerned about community spread, for example, they will trigger actions that will prevent evictions.
The 4th and final signature, delaying the payroll tax until the end of the year. That's what comes out of your paycheck for Social Security and Medicare. But questions remain over legalities of these actions.
I understand there will be a debate.
Whether they're legal or not takes time to figure out.
I'm Britt Conway, reporting.
Lebanon is in chaos tonight and without a government. Public fury over Tuesday's deadly Beirut explosion is forcing the prime minister and his cabinet to quit. The blast leveled much of Lebanon's capital, leaving more than 160 residents dead and sparking days of violent protests. Now the mass resignations are opening the way to dragged out negotiations over a new government. The anger in Beirut is fueled by the failure to get rid of high explosives left to rot at the city's port for years, combined with the worst economic crisis in decades and constant charges of official corruption. Ben Wiedemann is in the middle of the unrest, and he's hearing from protesters.
They carried a banner with the names of those killed in Tuesday's massive blast. Beirut's initial shock, now white-hot fury. At a government, a political elite that through incompetence and corruption has pushed Lebanon to the brink. In their demands, there is no subtlety. We want to take revenge on them, says FAWAZ KASARWANI. We want to hang them because they killed us. Our blood is still boiling over the people killed in the blast, an atomic bomb that exploded in the heart of Beirut. Saturday, the explosion in Beirut was one of rage. Ordinary citizens have lost so much in the last few months. They have little left to lose. They've seen the economy collapse, the local currency lose much of its value, hyperinflation, lengthy power cuts, and last Tuesday, a catastrophic explosion that killed more than 150 people, wounded thousands, and made at least 300,000 homeless. And now, the politicians are being called to account. Shame on them, says this protester. They killed their people. They impoverished us. We've lost everything, and still they cling to power. Other protesters occupied a variety of ministries, including the foreign ministry, where they burned a portrait of President MICHEL.
This day was declared as Yom al-Hisab, the day of judgment, and in the dock are the leaders of Lebanon who have overseen what is essentially the decline and fall of the Lebanese state.
A state struggling to maintain control of a population in revolt. A state under siege from its own people. Ben Wiedemann, Beirut.
Pope Francis is calling on the world to come to Lebanon's aid in its time of crisis. He's also urging the country's religious to step up in a special way.
Chiedo ai vescovi, ai sacerdoti e ai religiosi del Libano che stiano vicini al popolo e che vivano con uno stile di vita improntato alla povertà evangelica, senza lusso, perché il vostro popolo soffre e soffre tanto.
The Holy Father is doing his part to help, sending a donation of almost $300,000 to Lebanon. Right here in Brooklyn, you can help the people of Lebanon. Our Lady of Lebanon Maronite Cathedral is holding a prayer service and collection on Tuesday, August 25th at 7 p.m. The church is located at 113 Remsen Street in Brooklyn Heights. We'll repeat this information at the end of the newscast. A big congratulations going out tonight to the Knights of Columbus Councils at St. Finbar and Most Precious Blood churches in the Diocese of Brooklyn. They're being honored for their commitment to helping others during this pandemic, receiving the Knights Leave No Neighbor Behind Award. The councils have been running an emergency food distribution service which helps feed more than 500 families every week. The Brooklyn Knights received the international honor at the Supreme Convention, beating out 16,000 councils. There's a lot more news headed your way. The unlikely partnership between a group of nuns and a Catholic artist in Brooklyn. What worldwide problem they're teaming up to fight. Plus, charities pitching in to help the people of Beirut. We'll speak with the director of a Catholic relief agency there about how great the need is. And blessed babies baptized by the Holy Father himself. Stay with us.
Now you can help us put your faith in the news. The next time you capture a newsworthy event, send us your pictures or video. It's easy. Go to netny.tv/send us, and you may see your submission on Currents News.
Catholic nuns dedicated to stamping out the evil of human trafficking are teaming up with a Brooklyn artist for help in their mission. The result is a new way to spread news about the work of the super nuns and how they need your help. Currents News' Emily Druby has the story from Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
These things aid in travel, escape.
Planes, a faceless nun, a safe house, and a ladder.
The ladder's great for escapes.
All symbols crafted into this Brooklyn mural on Metropolitan Ave by artist Steve Espo Powers. It's not just art, it's a public face in a fight against evil being done by nuns who are part of the Talitha Kum organization that fights human trafficking around the globe. John McCaffrey runs a foundation that supports Vatican initiatives. He was first asked by Pope Francis himself to raise support and money for Talitha Kum. But there was a problem, keeping the identities of the nuns and the survivors they help secret.
The nature of their work is pretty confidential and very sensitive, so it's impossible to show their faces in many cases.
Staying out of the public eye makes it hard for them to share their success stories and in turn makes it difficult to fundraise, but they need the help because their work is expensive. It can cost $10,000 to help a survivor. So as Sister Gabriela Botani explains, an important question arose.
How we can find a different way of speaking about the reality in the respect of the dignity and the identity of people, also to protect them.
That's how the idea of the Super Nuns Initiative was born.
Ideally, it is an animation project that tells the story in real time of these real-life situations.
The initiative uses comic book-like art to tell the stories of these everyday superheroes, and that leads to a donation website which provides access to new monthly art created by popular artists. New York City-based artist Espo is one of them. He helped launch the campaign with prints and this mural.
It's drops in a bucket, you know, it's just a little bit at a time. It's not really big changes, but it's little changes until the bucket's full.
Each time the artwork is shared, it brings in new donors and more awareness. The lifelong Catholic's art made it all the way to the Vatican and was signed by the Holy Father when the donation initiative was presented to him in February.
His dedication to the Talitha Kum sisters and his ability to stop and talk to us and give us a little bit of strength was super humbling.
Over the past 10 years, Talitha Kum has already protected over 15,000 people. They say the money raised through the site will continue to fund on-the-ground work being done right now. In East Williamsburg, Emily Druby, Currents News.
To help the nuns fight the evil of human trafficking, you can contribute to them monthly. Go to patreon.com/supernuns. When you sign up, you'll also get a chance to win artwork each month, along with other special perks. We'll repeat the website at the end of the program. Charity organizations around the world are stepping in to help Beirut nearly a week after the explosion. One of them, the Catholic Near East Welfare Association, is helping those in need, even though their own Beirut office was damaged by the blast. The agency's regional director, MICHEL Constantin, joins us on the phone from his home in Beirut. And Michel, more than 160 killed, thousands wounded and homeless. What is the greatest need right now in Beirut?
Well, actually, the last explosion was just another layer of the misery for the Lebanese people. Lebanon has been facing problems since last October when the devaluation of the Lebanese pound and the uprising on the street, in addition to the coronavirus. And now this is like the last layer of misery that came through this explosion that has destroyed almost half or 70% of Beirut. We have 90,000 apartments and shops that were hit in Beirut. And Beirut is not a huge city. It's a small city with 2 million persons living inside. So we have like half of Beirut now destroyed. We have more than 200 schools that are affected and cannot reopen their doors in September. We have 4 major hospitals. 2 of them are university hospitals out of 4 university hospitals in Lebanon that are completely out of business, and they have closed down because of the damages that happened to them.
Oh, it's just awful. And we understand the Christian area of Beirut was devastated. Some 10 churches, I believe, were destroyed. How can people who are watching this interview right now help?
Well, I believe we need, first of all, the prayers of all the people for the Lebanese to be able to increase their resilience and their faith in God, to be able to overcome this misery. And then you need your solidarity. Anything that can be donated to Lebanese people will be very substantial.
Michel, really quickly, how long do you think it will take to rebuild the city?
Well, if resources are available, we need at least 1.5 years, 2 years.
All right, Michel Constantin, Regional Director of the Catholic Near East Welfare Association. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for this opportunity.
There are several ways you can help the people of Lebanon. Michel's organization at CNEWA.org is where you can make a contribution. You can make a donation at caritas.org, and monetary gifts through Aid to the Church in Need are being accepted at churchinneed.org. We'll repeat this information at the end of the newscast. A Beirut priest attending Mass cried out to God when the explosion shook his church to its foundations.
We thought, God save us, God save us. We wanted to get out of here with the least possible damage.
Father MARWAN MAOWAD was able to escape the MAROUN Maronite church without injury. Shards from a stained glass window tore into the mostly empty pews. Mass attendance was restricted by the pandemic. A happy update on a miraculous story. The Pope himself has baptized 2 formerly conjoined twins in his own chapel. The baby girls were separated at the Vatican's Children's Hospital, Bambino Gesù, in early June. They're currently still hospitalized there, but their mother, quote, really wanted the Pope to baptize them. Still to come on Currents News, a dramatic rescue caught on camera. A bunch of strangers save a family who was swept away in floodwaters. Also ahead, it's quite a leap to go from dancing in the streets of Nigeria to a top New York City ballet company, but this 11-year-old did it gracefully. We'll show you how. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. A dramatic rescue caught on camera. Complete strangers pulled a family to safety when surging floodwaters threatened to wash them away. Alexandria Hoff has the video from Pennsylvania showing 4 kids and their dad being saved.
You got it? Yep. Riding on the front of a backhoe, this group of strangers had no idea just how much was at stake ahead of them.
Grab me by the wrist. This was one of the scariest moments of my life.
On Tuesday, the Doe Run stream in Chester County swelled into a raging river. Dan DiGregorio stopped on higher ground, as did another man.
And we see this car about 300 yards away decide to come towards us. And we're both kind of like, whoa, no, 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 no.
The car is swept out of sight. 2 more people pull up. No one had cell service to call for help.
Is there a way to get to these people? We don't know what's going on. And it was like a miracle.
A West Marlboro Township worker in a backhoe happened on scene. The 4 bystanders jumped in the front bucket. They locate the vehicle and a panicked father.
Hold on to that kid. Hold on to the kid. We'll get you out. You can see he's about 15 feet from his car and just losing it.
The man hands off the young child he's holding to the rescuers.
You got him? Yeah.
2 other young kids make it to the roof of the car, but a 4th older child slips.
Stand up straight. Stand up straight. I can still see the fear of this kid looking at me.
Forming a human chain, the rescuers pull the boy into the bucket.
Hold on to 2 of us.
From another angle, you can see the other 2 children passed off the roof.
Very good job, guys.
The father, too, makes it on board, and the family is ushered to safety.
I hope one day I get to re-meet that family and make sure they're okay.
A proud ending, thanks to Dan, David, Tom, Walter, and Burnett.
We were 5 random people who saw a car get swept away.
That was Alexandria Hoff reporting on the true bravery of everyday heroes. The saved and their saviors are all reported to be okay after the ordeal. And finally tonight, it's a new spin on a dance audition. This video of Anthony Madu dancing in the rain in Nigeria with no shoes on went viral. The 11-year-old's leaps and pirouettes first caught the attention of actress Viola Davis, who shared the video on Twitter. Then it caught the eye of someone at the American Ballet Theater in New York City, where Anthony was given a scholarship so he can train with some of the best ballet dancers in the world. And that is Currents News. Before we go, here again is where you can make a donation to help the people of Lebanon. CNEWA.org, Caritas.org, and ChurchInNeed.org. In Brooklyn, Our Lady of Lebanon Maronite Cathedral is holding a prayer service and collection on Tuesday, August 25th at 7 p.m. at 113 Remsen Street in Brooklyn Heights. And go to patreon.com/supernuns to help in the fight against human trafficking. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.